This is the book of First Thessalonians, chapter 5, beginning at verse 1, and it reads, "But at the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Loyam La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that told me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. And say shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. It's the brother Yonasop, and I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. This lesson is inspired by, I watched this particular economist. Well, he wouldn't even label himself an economist. He's more like a, because he be trying to sell courses, but he going, for whatever reason, like the Spirit on him, I think he set up, but, I'm not always correct. I am a man. But speaking as a man, it just be little shit. And I think he be watching us. This little shit he say and do. But he bring out a lot of current events and a lot of information, so that's why I subscribe to him. And, I didn't know this, but, just like First Thessalonians chapter 5 said, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a child. It's like that travail upon a child. Salakia, come upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So it's gonna come. Destruction gonna come suddenly. People are gonna be unprepared. Because right now you have the grace period to prepare yourself to get prepared. Spiritually, because no matter a physical or carnal preference is gonna, prepare you for this. That's why we go through our different trials and tribulations in order to build that relationship with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Because a day like no other is coming. Scriptures talk about Jacob's trouble. Throughout the Old and the New Testament, and if you can't see it's gonna be a time of trouble, look at these people, man. These people bugged out, got spirits on them, and then. When you look at Babylonians, aka Americans, they are some of the most selfish fucking people ever. I was talking to my mechanic, not to digress, but long story short, I was supposed to go see him Saturday, but something came up. So he didn't really want to go deal with anybody else, but another one of his clients was pretty much like, he was explaining to her like pretty much, well, since I ain't do his work, I just went ahead and, took care of some business of mine. She was like, fuck him. And that's going to be the mindset, and I made the statement. I said, that's the average Babylonian. Because, they say it's going to be family members. The scriptures talk about your enemies is going to be of your household. So, this shit is not going to be a joke. You know what I mean? You know how brothers just talk about gumbo? I was listening to a particular brother. He was like, Jake, especially down south, will take all the bullshit that you ain't supposed to eat and throw it in a pot with some bell peppers and some onions, and that be dinner. and Jake, Jake's soulful, so Jake can make this shit taste good, but that be the most abominable shit ever. So, Jake was funny when he said it though, but yeah, this thing getting real, so I'm gonna say fair use, not profiting, just lining up what's in the scriptures with, this video. Lord willing, is edifying.
Scam calls and texts are super annoying, but here's why you can't just ignore them.
To one of the lowest, consumer sentiment plummeting to one of the lowest levels on record.
80% of adults say they're feeling stressed about their personal finances. 6 in 10 say President Trump has gone too far with tariffs.
And major ports like the Port of Los Angeles are seeing a steep drop in imports from China.
For the week ending May 10th, year-over-year data shows a 44% drop.
fire. You guys were right. I was wrong. Inflation is here. Job losses are here. Recessions are here. And all of you guys are searching for right now. Highest in history. How to sell my house. Don't be too excited because everything's crashing month over month in the housing market by 6%. I don't think that 400% inflation is going to affect the sale of your home. 1 minute we don't have any homes, the next minute we have lots of them.
Okay, guys, so we have breaking news. A massive blackout sweeps across Europe, leaving countries like France, Spain, Belgium, Portugal without power, airports, subways, trains, traffic signals, phone lines impacted, chaos everywhere at the moment, reason unknown so far.
And that's all I wanted. Well, he be talking shit, so I'll play out a little bit more. But that's the point. That came suddenly, and they're saying they don't know why, and that could be either the truth or that could be, a psyop. Who's to say? But just remember, prepare your mind for one day the light's gonna go out and they're not gonna come back on until they trying to get you to come into a FEMA camp.
So I told Kitty to pack the bags, and we are jumping on a plane. So I'm gonna have to say this whole renewable power isn't working out too well for Spain as it hits first weekday of 100% renewable power on national grid as it goes down. Also, my apologies if you see Neil's messages pop across the screen. He lives over, where is he? He's over here somewhere, not paying taxes. But we have a massive blackout, Spain, Portugal, power outage, sweeping blackout, shut down internet, and grind transportation to a halt.
Yeah. A massive cyber attack. Don't be surprised if they don't, come with that narrative. So, that's why it's so important to literally be, daily, striving for mastery. It's so important to be daily seeking your spiritual bread. It's so important to be daily, building up your relationship with Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. Because again, for whatever reason, the Lord hasn't let these things really hit here yet. But when they do, again, like, Americans is some of the most cutthroat, motherfucking grimy people you'll ever imagine meeting. And that's just point blank, period. I remember it was a job I was trying to get at, and because I lost a job, and then the Lord blessed me. I had the opportunity to choose between jobs. And I'm not a very people person, so, but out of desperation, I'd probably try to work the job. And, long story short, I made poor decisions dealing with my demon because demons was on her, So instead of just leaving, the household because I'm paying the fucking bills, I would end up in cuffs. Ain't that about a bitch? And you free, huh? Mind you, I ain't beating her ass. So, again, I could watch her fucking get hit by a car, and I'm not going to, because you got to be a true live demon to literally, but the scriptures talk about that. A foolish woman teareth down her own home, You so angry and so anyhow. When chaos actually hits this place, a lot of people ain't gonna know what the fuck to do, But a lot of that pride is gonna, be humbled. And it might take you to be deleted to be humbled, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I'm watching these spirits jump on my children more and more. I'm talking about, these little girls. So I understand what the elder said. That's why you marry them off while they're young. And let that nigga that's in love with him, have to deal with that headache. Anyhow, it's the book of Romans chapter 13. Because, I can bring up multiple scriptures, 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16, because, these are all scriptures that go into Jacob's trouble because the conditions and the things that's going on is pretty much creating an atmosphere for that. Again, with these empty shelves, it might not affect you today. But it's gonna affect niggas so distracted by entertainment. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of shit going on. You got niggas that are distracted by Deion Sanders and his son, and and the thing is, it kind of pisses you off because pretty much them Edomites was fucking with him because he didn't kiss their ass and he didn't want to work for. Deion ain't no regular dude. But that's so like that's like just don't get me wrong. I like pussy. You know what I'm saying? Quabah Salakia. I like Quabah, but I don't want to be, a woman can become annoying sometimes. I don't think I've ever just had a woman. I'm like, I want to be up under the women all day. You know what I mean? Like, I can't recall. You know, I love my children dearly, but to the point of when you got three different spirits all seeking your attention, it's not fun. All at the same time, and then you trying to study or you trying to. That's how I know it's spirits. What you talking about? But at the end of the day, if you could juggle that and serve the Lord within you, everybody a lot different. I do know this: the Lord about to test us all. That our temptation is coming, and you can see it. I don't give a fuck how much they try to word this or try to keep this out the news. You can see, like, at the end of the day, Trump. A lot of people consider Bush Jr. to be like stupid when he was far from it. He played stupid, just like a lot of people saying Biden wasn't really senile. He played senile because a lot of those politicians are actors before they politicians. That's why Reagan was a politician. He doesn't like sit right in your face and lie. You got an actor politician right in office right now, your boy DJ Trump. The elder said this man wasn't a dog catcher, a police officer, constable on patrol. He wasn't none of that. But he was an actor. So again, scriptures tell you, hasten, seeing all these things are going to be dissolved. What manner of person are ye to be? Seeing that this shit about to go, I mean, this is old with. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you fake it or you try to, like the brother said, what's the word? Constant dissonance, where you basically don't want to admit to reality. You're trying to hide from the fact of it. And you really got people like that. Like I talked to this particular female, and the spirit got me telling her certain stuff. And the thing is, she people don't, like I said, don't want to. Like I was telling her, like, okay, if you can make some money off of YouTube or TikTok, I mean, use the world, don't abuse it. But at the same time, if you putting your hope in that shit, one day it's gonna be just like that. That's the spirit. I'm gonna send her that video. Because, like I said, one day the internet gonna be out. And I just was telling her that shit yesterday. That's the spirit. This is the book of Romans chapter 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time that now...
Here's a secret to get rid of ads on your phone. I should have known.
Oh my God. Hate that fucking app. It's the only app that do this. Romans 13 and 11. And that knowing the time and that knowing the time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Because at the end of the day, we see in these prophecies pretty much become fulfilled, and there ain't too many prophecies left. At the end of the day, this, like we could see the economy crashing, we could see them literally having, just all chaos. Second Ezra 6.
Adblock. Total Adblock is an app on your.
Second Ezra 5. Second Ezra 15. Second Ezra 16. Second Timothy chapter 3. We can see all of these things. How much more so when the economy crashes? Verse 12. The night is far spent. The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, because at the end of the day, you ain't supposed to be not only, it's talking about like spiritually drunk, but at the same time, you don't need to be completely drunk when it's danger about. You know what I mean? You need to have your wits about you. You know what I mean? Anybody that grew up in dangerous areas, head is constantly on the swivel.
I think I'll name him Chip.
What I used to do, because you amongst brothers, so you feeling, comfortable, I would get kind of lax But brothers that are accustomed to being in around dangerous surroundings or dangerous people, they that's what they say. You have your head on the swivel, and the scriptures talk about being circumspect. It says, "Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying, but put ye on the Lord Yahushua Hamashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof." You shouldn't be focused
I'm sick of
on the
ads.
world. You should be focused on the Lord, because the scriptures talk about laying up thy treasures in heaven where moth and rust doth not corrupt. I just brought out James chapter 5. It says your silver and gold is cankered. This shit ain't worth that. Scriptures tell you in the book of Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 19 that silver and gold should be cast. They should cast the silver and gold in the streets. And like I said again, I'm sure it from the get go, like at the beginning of the crash, it's gonna profit Jake. And I remember me and the brother was talking about that, at the beginning, but it's not gonna be money is not gonna save you. It's gonna be those spiritual or that spiritual money that you got with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua that's gonna actually give you provisions and safety in that day. It's gonna be if Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua knows you in that day. This is the book of Amos chapter 4. This is the spiritual how I just did that. This is the book of Amos chapter 4 and verse 10. I have sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt. This is the Most High speaking. Your young men have I slain with the sword, and have taken away your horses, and have made the stink of your camps to come up unto your nostrils. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Because when you start at verse 1, it talks about pretty much the Lord punishing Israel. It makes you think about what is that in Second Ezra? I think it's like 16. Talk about the scourges, sinful amendment. Yeah. So the Lord punishes, Israel, but scriptures talk about how Israel is sottish, meaning stupid. It says, "Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. I have overthrown some of you as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and ye were as a firebrand plucked out of the burning. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua." Verse 12, the point. "Therefore thus will I do unto thee, O Israel, and because I will do this unto thee, prepare to meet thy power, O Israel." And I remember the one brother from the West Coast was saying, when you hear that saying, "Prepare to meet thy maker," well, pretty much that's where you get that from. Prepare to meet thy power. Scriptures talk about in the book of 2 Ezra chapter 9 about how the Most High visited in the earth which he made. So prepare to meet him, and all those that are not right, or that are of the 2/3, they gonna meet him by their destruction, while the elect and the 1/3 are gonna meet him by his salvation. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, whose true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, I want to give all honor, I want to give all glory to call Elohim La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next week. Till next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yashua Allah and Mawaf Lababah.